I said, well, I'm not done. I'm only in 3rd Nephi. And he said, guess what? You don't have to be done. That's not the goal. I was raised Catholic. I came to know the church through meeting a young man. I had just switched schools when I was a teenager, and switching schools as a teenager is kind of something that can rock your foundation. And so I actually ran into a young man that was, turns out he was an inactive member of the church. And so he was wise enough to turn me over to the missionaries. I had a good foundation of a belief in a higher being, and talking about God or Jesus Christ seemed pretty natural to me, even though I can remember one time visiting with this young man and him asking me, do you believe in the Trinity? And I said, what is that? And so he explained what it was, and I said, well, no. And he says, turns out that you do. That's the name of your church. And so there was obviously some things that I thought maybe that I knew that I didn't know. And so some of those flip pages came more naturally than others. And so when we talked about prophets, that was something that just rang true to me immediately. I knew that made sense to me. I knew that there were prophets in the Bible that I had previously been taught from. And so that absolutely made sense. And but there were other pieces of those discussions that took longer for me to understand and be ready to implement in my own life. And so I not only went through a set of discussions, I went through a couple sets of missionaries. And circumstances would change and I would move and there'd be a new set of missionaries. And same thing, we'd start the flip discussions over again. And we'd talk about Jesus Christ, and I had a testimony of him, and we'd talk about prophets, and those things came easy. And finally, with one set of missionaries, he had a question for me, and he said, well, go get your scriptures. And so I went and got my scriptures, and I noticed then that it felt really awkward having those scriptures in my hands. Growing up, my family was definitely practicing Catholics, but whenever I was young, I don't remember reading the scriptures with my family. I remember going to Mass and hearing scriptures read to me, but I don't ever remember interacting with the scriptures myself. And so what ended up getting me was a combination of a challenge in the Book of Mormon and a challenge from the missionaries, and their challenge to read the Book of Mormon and pray about it. And so I took that opportunity that night and remembered feeling super awkward that first prayer that I was saying myself, my own heartfelt prayer, but immediately fell into the storyline of the Book of Mormon and just loved the characters and the plot and just fell in love with the story of the Book of Mormon. And I could see myself almost like binge reading the Book of Mormon. And the missionaries would come back and we would talk about things and there would be new discussions. And then finally, as missionaries do, you guys get transferred out, and a new set came in, and one of them was just bold enough to look me right in the face and say, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting for? And I said, well, I'm not done. I'm only in 3rd Nephi. And he said, guess what? You don't have to be done. That's not the goal. I know that just through that conversion process, there were so many things that I didn't fully understand or didn't, maybe wasn't ready to jump right into, but I know that the challenge that those missionaries gave me to open the scriptures and to read them for myself made all the difference in my life. There is a God in heaven, and that his son, Jesus Christ, came to this earth, and that we have the same blessings and opportunities now that were on the earth when he was on the earth, that we have the opportunity to make promises and covenants with him if we so choose, and have the opportunity to return back and live with our Father in heaven again.